Scott Brown here. This Makita tool has been buried in that container now for 2 years, and I have needed it in that time, but this sucks. So I haven't used it. But in today's exciting episode, I have a job for it again, and I'm gonna give it a second chance.
Hey, yo.
Have you ever gone to a placemaker's or a merchant and looked at all the drills and thought, why are there so many drills? Well, let's try and answer that. So it does seem ridiculous, I know, having so many tools. If you're a builder, you probably know why I have each of these tools. But if you're not a builder, this is why. This is your impact driver. This is a lot better at putting screws into timber or any material. It has a sort of ratcheting system where it just forces the screw in a way that the drill doesn't. And this is my standard drill. Pretty good. It's got a hammer function, but the hammer function is pretty weak. But it does work if you need to put a small screw into brickwork. And this is the bigger drill. This has more strength than this, but it's a lot heavier. So if I'm installing cabinets or something, I'll use this. But if I need to drill a big hole, this is the drill to use. Now if I really need to put some bolts in, like I'm going to do very, very soon, I'll use this one. It has a different connection, a different chuck, and I just bought an SDS bit this morning. How do you take this off? See that? It's a little bit different at the base here compared to a regular one, and that stops it from slipping when it's under a lot of pressure. And finally, the collated screw gun. So the great thing about this, and the reason I wish it worked well, when I drive that screw in, this mechanism here will move the next screw into place, and then I can drive another screw in. But that's what happens when I use it. It misfires, it slips, and it gets very frustrating. When I first got it, it was good. It was good for a while. I started putting jib in and just far more efficient putting plasterboard up. But since then, I've had issues where the screw does this. Can you see how crooked it is in there? And I don't know, maybe it's the drill bit that's in there. So I'm gonna try and unblock this, and we'll revisit this drill. Here we go. When it's time to put the plasterboard up. But first, I've got a ceiling to frame. I used this in the last video, and people were asking what it was. It's called, we call it DPC, and it's basically, I think it's a bitumen-based product that separates concrete from timber. Oh, and if you're wondering about this here, stapler, 12 volt. Yeah, it's really good. Pulling a trigger is a lot easier than squeezing your hand together over and over. See, the drill bit I used on the other drill is much better for timber, whereas this thing here is a lot better for concrete. And then this is where this drill comes in. Boom! You're wondering what screws I'm using? I'm using these Hilti, what do they call them? HUS screws. It's got a pretty intense thread on it with a torque bit on the end of it there. Worked pretty well. Now let's see how much quicker nails are. One second, bro. So I made a mistake last week with the Sparky. I didn't check with the owner what exactly they wanted in the bathroom. I just assumed that they were having the stuff that was there before. They need an additional plug.
How you going, buddy?
Hi there. Hi. You looking fresh?
Oh, fresh. Got the fresh haircut.
Nice, nice. You line up outside a barber?
I was second one in.
Oh, nice.
So it wasn't too bad.
Gillies is up in the ceiling. Had to run another cable. Very old cables here. What do I owe you, Gillies?
880! Thanks, mate.
No
Stop
worries.
filming me, fuck.
Now, if you're wondering why I would put a ceiling when there's already a ceiling up there, well, that would be a fair question. The reason is the state of this ceiling. Not only is there a lower part here because I've taken the cupboard out, but it's also in a really bad state with old, what I can only assume is lead paint on it. Basically, we're doing the more affordable option, frame it, put some jib on it, plaster it, and paint it. And then in the future, if somebody does want to preserve the tongue groove ceiling, well, it's up there still. I haven't damaged it. Another thing I use this for is, see these brackets here? I've tacked them on with nails. Now I'm gonna just add these little screws on here. This is probably overkill. Nails in a confined space like this is probably enough, but just a bit more strength, you know? A bit more strength. Alright, now is the exciting moment in my life where I give this another shot. It might just be the way it's set up, I don't know. Well, it doesn't look too bad. Everything seems to line up. When they do work, they make the job so much more efficient. Promising? Oh, now we're talking. I think let's go a bit deeper. That's 3 in a row. 1, 2, 3. The real test is going to be the ceiling that I've just glued up. Let's see how we go. Don't try this at home. These poles aren't made for carrying weight. So good. I'm having problems with the depth. It doesn't sink the screw all the way in, and that's because we're screwing into pine. The density of this timber varies quite a lot, so 1 minute this will sink it in perfectly and the next minute it'll leave it out. When you're using a normal drill, you're deciding the depth. I think maybe the fundamental issue is that there's not much power in that thing. It almost feels like the battery and the tool aren't working together enough to get the screwing consistently. It's like almost enough power. Well, there we go, guys. We have 2 rooms again. Yoo-hoo! And this is the bathroom. Oh, the acoustics have definitely changed. The sliding door will be on the outside on the bedroom side. And that's where the washing machine is going. And here is the plug that the client wanted. It's for the basin here, it's close to the basin. Just so you can plug in a shaver or something. So I think the next time that I'll be here will be either to do with the kitchen or finishing, architrave, skirting. Thanks for watching this exciting episode. Catch you guys in the next one.